Trenton Talks, WIMG 1300 and WPHY Channel 25 are proud to present In the Public Interest. Each week, we explore a new topic of interest for you, the public. We now join our host live from the WIMG studios.
WIMG AM 1300. If you're listening to us on the World Wide Web, we're at WIMG1300.com. And if you're watching us on TV, we're at WPHY. Thanks for joining us in the public interest. My name's Jean Shippos, and I'm happy to be here tonight. And Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We're going to focus on books tonight, and I have two very interesting gentlemen here tonight. Eric Maywar. Welcome, Eric. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And David Dickerman. And David wrote his first book, and he's going to talk to us about how he wrote his book. And it's a really neat book. It's Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else. It's a children's book. So I hope you can see this. I know you can't see it on the radio, but it's Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else, and it's got this neat little guy right in the middle of it. And Eric works with books, too, in a totally different way. You work with making sure everybody gets books, right?
That's right, yeah.
So why don't you tell us about the Trenton Book Exchange and Trenton Books at Home programs?
Yeah, I have a used bookstore downtown Trenton, and out of the bookstore we do a Books at Home program in which Trenton kids get their books for free. Studies show that if kids have 500 books in their home, it has a greater impact on their education than almost any other factor, including educational level of the parents and all those things that can play a part. But having books in the home might be the most important.
Well, how do they get books for free?
Well,
do they have to come to the bookstore?
Sometimes they come to the bookstore, but since not all kids come downtown, we make arrangements with teachers. They'll come down and fill up their car full of books and take back, so everybody in their class, or sometimes in the case of Columbus School, everybody in the school can take books home.
So a teacher can go to you and say, I want to be part of this. Which program is this? The Trenton
Books at Home.
Trenton Books at Home.
Yeah.
And the teacher goes to you and says, I want to be part of this program.
Yeah. Can
I come to your store and pick up books?
Yes.
And then kids in the classroom just take books home?
Yes.
And keep them forever?
Yes.
Wow, sounds like a great deal. I like that deal. What happened to the idea of a library? Is that gone?
Well, these are home libraries, so this is an even more intimate library than. And since with the branches closed in Trenton, this is another way for kids to have immediate exposure to books right where they live. And
what's the Trenton Book Exchange? Is something about little drop-off points around
That's right.
Trenton?
Yeah, there's a couple groups. One run by Trenton 360. One run by a guy named Jason Arnold, and they are developing sort of stations. Jock Howard, who runs 360, has taken a bunch of newspaper boxes, refurbed them, rehabbed them, and is putting them around the city so they'll be filled with books for people to take. And those could be adults or kids. So that's a little.
Do you need a library card or a pass for that?
No, you can just take what you have. And the theory is that you could take a book and leave a book. But if it gets empty, then people will just come back to the bookstore and fill them up again.
So that's another place where you can go and just take books and read.
That's right. Trenton is a city full of books.
Literally a city full of books. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about the used and rare bookstore.
Yeah, we have a bookstore at 4 West Lafayette. Downtown, right across from the Marriott, or not the Marriott anymore, the Wyndham, the hotel that's downtown.
And when is that open?
We're open at most lunch times, but also Friday until midnight, and Saturday from 11 to 4.
So I don't understand. People have access to all these free books now.
Yes.
Why would they go to a bookstore?
Well, partly because kids come down to the bookstore to get their free books, but parents end up seeing things that they want too. So there are lots of people that come down to get books from the bookstore rather than the assortment that might be in a given sort of book box. We also do programming. We have Scrabble there on Friday nights until midnight, and on Saturdays we have book signings, which I'm hoping the that our
To
other
get
guests to be
David
able to
to
come
come,
in.
yeah.
There's an open mic group that comes. There are board game clubs that come and play. So there's a variety of stuff we do.
Place. Wow. Place to go. Who knew? A bookstore. David, let's jump over to you and talk about Mom, Dad, and everyone else.
Sure.
This is a really neat book. We just read it. The station manager and I just read it in like 10 minutes out in the office waiting for the show to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what gave you the idea to write a book. How did you decide? Well, now I'm going to write a book.
Well, it's something I've kind of always wanted to do, but I kind of know myself well enough to know that I need a little bit of structure in my life. So I went to graduate school at Bank Street College in New York City to get my master's in general and childhood education as well as literacy. And as a final thesis project, we have several options, one of which being an independent study. And one independent study that has become very popular is to write your own children's book. And the project has several components to it. You identify a gap in children's literature, come up with a story to fill that gap, find the research to support it, and then kind of compare it to other books that are already out there covering the same topics. And so through my research, I kind of found that most of the books about divorce that I saw were really focusing on the breaking up of the marriage or living in two different homes, and none of them really adequately gave my experience, which was that even though my family split up, because of that, as a direct result of that, I was exposed to many new people and experiences that I would not have been exposed to if my parents had remained married. So all of those ideas kind of swirling, and with the book option as part of my thesis, I decided to kind of just go for it. And
this has been a long time coming. I mean, we didn't just do this overnight.
No, I graduated.
About 2 years. Right?
Yeah, in 2012. So I graduated then, and then I kind of afterwards, the original intention was not to get it published, but afterwards it was originally designed to be a tool for bibliotherapy for therapists and families. But afterwards, I decided, hey, why not see what's out there? And I did some research, and I submitted it to a couple different places, and one of them fortunately saw the value. And
we say which one it is
yes.
And how to get this little book.
The company's called Crafty Canuck Publishing, so you can buy it on their website, shop.craftycanuck.com, or it's also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and then Noise Trade, I believe, as well.
And it's really neat. The back says, in Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else, author David Dickerman creates a story about divorce with the primary use in bibliotherapy. However, like many children's picture books that tend to focus on the negative and inherently sad elements of a family falling apart, David's focus is on an often overlooked positive side.
Yeah, that was my experience. There were, in addition to the negative elements, there were a lot of
But this was very personal for you, too.
Oh, yeah, very
Going
personal.
through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
You went through the divorce as a child.
Yes, I did. I was about 10 years old. They had split up before that, but when the divorce was final, I was about 10 years old. I did not see it coming. It was very acrimonious divorce, but as you can see, there's some positives that came out of it. So, it was a very personal book, a very personal story, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out.
And you said you shopped this around yourself, so anybody really can write a book, right?
Yeah, there are different companies, different publishing companies, in my experience at least, seek out different things, so they, in my experience, and especially with children's publishing, they were very, very specific. So I had to seek out publishing companies that, A, took unsolicited material, because I didn't have a literary agent at the time, B, focused specifically on children's picture books at this age range that dealt with family issues, that are specifically about divorce and those kind of topics. So, they get very, very specific. So first I had to weed out those companies that it wasn't appropriate for, and then the ones that took unsolicited material, and that left me with a handful of places that I reached out to.
And you said that working with this Crafty Canuck, it was a good experience.
Yeah,
they helped with illustrations.
Right, they're a smaller publishing company, so I do feel like I got a good amount of attention because of that, probably. But I originally made the images. They're clay images that were on. I just made them solid backgrounds. But when the publishing company decided to publish it, we had a conversation, and I kind of redid some of the images. I wanted to look a little better. They brought in an outside artist to kind of beef up the backgrounds a little bit. But I created the original clay images using classroom clay to hopefully create a stronger connection to the text in any little way possible.
Have you had feedback? A lot of times online, people will give feedback about the book. Have you had any feedback?
Yeah.
Have you seen anything?
So far so good. There have been a couple of reviews. There have been some therapists or two that have used it, read it to their kids, and they said there's been a positive result. And that's really was its main intention, to get to therapists and families that are in need. And I think that we're at a good start right now. So hopefully it'll get out there to anyone who needs it.
We're talking to David Dickerman, and he wrote a book called Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else. And if you go on your computer and just type in Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else, a billion sites pop up that are linked to this book. I mean, you can buy this book anywhere, but it's really published by Crafty Canuck. I really like that, Crafty Canuck.
Yeah, it's cute.
So let's go back to Eric and the free books. From writing a book to free books. Tell me about this I Am Trenton Community Foundation.
Sure, yeah. I Am Trenton is a community foundation in Trenton that gives small grants to people doing positive things in town. I think this year they gave to 8 different groups. I can't list all the groups, but and one of them was the Books at Home program and the book exchanges as well. So.
Now, I wonder how you funded all these free books.
Well, most of the Books at Home is done without money. We're a used bookstore, so people donate books, and in return, I give them store credit so they can walk out with other books. A lot of times, people don't use their credit, so I started asking them, listen, if you're not going to use your credit, do you mind if kids come and use the credit? So we started it as sort of an exchange. So most of it, the grant from I Am Trenton notwithstanding, most of it's funded by not money. It's not funded. Most of it's done by trade.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's a model. There's another group called First Read that does this with new books throughout the country. But the problem there is you have to raise a lot of money. So if you're in a community that's resource poor, this is a model that can be transplanted easily because it doesn't require a lot of startup or maintenance money.
So people come to your store and donate used books?
Yes, yep.
And
they can use the credit themselves, but if they don't want to, and they're so inclined, they can donate it to the kids.
That's awesome. Wow. That's a lot of books to fund.
That's a lot of books. We have a lot of books at the store.
So who goes around and what do you call him? You call him the bookman who goes around to these little boxes and refills them?
Well, the ones that Jacques Howard have done, he's gotten sponsors for each box. So Champ's Bar, I think Social Bar are going to have it in front of their place. And then when it runs out, they'll come and pick up books.
That's great. So you can sponsor it, get your name on the box.
That's right.
But then are you responsible for stuffing it too?
No, they come and get the box of books for me. So.
That's a perfect deal.
Perfect for a lazy guy.
That's a perfect deal. We're talking to Eric Magwar. He has a classic used and rare bookstore on Lafayette Street in Trenton.
Yep.
And we're talking to David Dickerman, who wrote a book about divorce, Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to the stellar award-winning WIMG AM 1300. Thank you.
Help! I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Every 35 minutes, a senior citizen dies following a fall.
When I fell, I couldn't get up or reach the phone. It took 7 hours before my neighbor coincidentally stopped by and saved me. After this ordeal, I got myself the Life Alert service. One touch of a button sends me help fast, 24/7. for medical, fall, fire, and home invasion, even when I can't reach a phone. And getting help fast reduces my risk of injuries and expensive medical bills.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
With Life Alert, I am safe and protected.
Life Alert is the industry leader in personal protection. Call 1-800-430-8198 for a free brochure. 1-800-430-8198. That's 1-800-430-8198. Call now. Be aware of imitators.
Welcome back. This is In the Public Interest at WIMG-AM 1300. I'm Jean Shippos, and I'm talking to Eric Maywar, who has a used and rare bookstore in downtown Trenton. And I'm talking to David Dickerman, who wrote a book, Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else. David, when you were writing this book, did you have a specific age group in mind? Did you have an age group you were targeting it for? Because it's very simple and easy reading.
Right, I did. And, as part of since, as I mentioned, it was part of my thesis, I was very aware of all of that. So, I put a lot of thought into the word choice and the size of the words, the amount of white space on the page, and a lot of things like that. But I also, in my research, Vygotsky identifies certain stages of crisis, and one of them is 7 years old. And so I wrote this for the age range of 6 to 8, because I was a little older when my parents got divorced, but I thought that would probably be the most useful based on my research.
And how did you know, how long did it take you to write that? Because I was saying, we read it very quickly.
Right.
How long did it take to write it?
Oof, between all the different incarnations and the artwork and the research and the comparison, several months. Even probably over the course of several years between fine-tuning everything. A year or two maybe. Yeah, I would say so. The images also took a lot of work and updates and things like that.
What happens next? Are you going to write some more books?
I hope to. I have a couple ideas moving around up there. Nothing to fruition yet. I kind of want to see what becomes of this, and see the kind of response it gets. But this was really written with the intention, if it were to be published, to kind of just act as a tool and help families, and so I think I probably want to stay in this arena, kind of putting different spins on experiences such as divorce, and kind of maybe see them and view them in a different light that kind of has often been overlooked. I really kind of like that aspect of it.
And I was telling David earlier, when I went online, I typed in David Dickerman's name, and the name of your book came up, and the name of several child therapists came up who said they are using your books in their practice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I intended to do. I'm also doing some kind of guest blogging work with divorce mediation firms and things like that. So, I really think it's getting to the right people because those are the people I think need it the most. I'm very happy with it so far.
Eric, with your experience with books, first of all, I'm fascinated that you work full-time and you own a bookstore, and I want to know how this happened. Would you advise this, Eric, to other people, for other people?
It's a little bit having 2 full-time jobs is probably not recommended. Yeah. But yeah, I'm at ETS during the 9 to 5, but I have folks that cover the store during the week. And then I'm there until midnight on Friday nights, and then on Saturdays.
And you get all the free reading you want, I bet.
I always imagined if I had a store, I'd be spending a lot of time reading. I'd probably read less now than before the store, because I spend more time
running the business.
Yeah, doing the business end of the store part of the bookstore instead of the book part of the bookstore. Yeah.
Right. Since we're right in downtown Trenton, I think this is great advertisement for you, and it's a great resource for Trenton people. To tell us again what happens in the bookstore. It's not just all about selling books.
That's right. That's right.
What is this, Scrabble tournament or something?
Yeah, we have a Scrabble club that meets every Friday. They start at 6.
All ages?
All ages, as young as 7 and as old as 93 now, I think, is the oldest one.
Wow.
So, yeah, and different skill levels, too. There's some people that are just learning how to play. There's some people that think that they're Scrabble sharps. So, and we have a Spanish Scrabble set because we've had to pull out a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
That have different letter distributions because they have more J's, for example, in an average sentence and that kind of thing. So.
And that's open to anybody.
That's
There's
right.
no dues.
No charge. No. It's just fun. It's book people. If I had my way, probably it would have been a poker club. All my poker friends can't read, so we had to get a Scrabble club together.
And what else do you have going on there?
On Saturdays, we do a bunch of different events. The first Saturday of every month, we have an open mic at 2 o'clock.
What is an open mic?
People come with spoken word, poetry, music, some comedy, and they perform to a group of maybe, 20, 25 people.
Do you serve coffee?
No.
Wine? Anything? Cheese, crackers?
It's BYO, so you can wine anytime you want.
Okay.
And we have a board games club. They play games like Cards Against Humanity, which is about the most inappropriate card game you could run into. That's the third Saturday of every month they come in. We have book signings. We have authors come in all the time to talk about their book and read from their book and to meet our customers. So yeah, we have a
This is a hopping place.
It's fun. Yeah.
Wow. So how do people find out more about?
We have a knitting group. They'd be mad if I didn't mention them. That comes every other week.
A knitting group.
That's right. And they just fit in with whatever else is going on. But they have maybe 10 people that come and.
Do you have a children's hour where somebody comes in and reads?
Periodically we do. We recently had one over this last summer. The woman running it has it on a hiatus during the school year, but they're making plans for this coming summer.
That's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us where people can find out more about your store.
Well, our website is classicsusedbooks.com.
Okay. And your location again?
4 West Lafayette, downtown Trenton, right across from the hotel.
And the only day you're closed is Sunday, apparently.
Sunday and Monday. We don't have any Monday hours.
Okay. So Monday.
Like a barber.
Okay. And what, are you open till 5 or late? Or?
During the week, Tuesday through Friday, we're just open from 12 to 2. We have very narrow. That's when we have other folks in there. And then on Friday night, we open up again at 6 and go till midnight.
Wow. Hopping place. And David, I want to give you an opportunity to read. Do you have a special section of the book you'd like to read or something that you want to call out to us? I like the beginning.
You like the beginning?
Well, Mom baked my favorite cake and Dad sang for me.
Okay. I can just start from the top.
Okay, go ahead.
And you just flag me down when I'm going too long, okay? All right, so Mom, Dad, and everyone else. In the beginning, there was just Mom, Dad, and me. We did everything together. Dad took me down the slide at the park, and Mom went on the seesaw with me. On my birthday, Mom would make my favorite red velvet cake, while Dad sang a birthday song in a funny voice. They even let me sleep in bed with them sometimes when we watched scary movies. Mom and Dad loved each other, and they loved me. One day I came home from school, and they were both waiting for me. What was Dad doing home so early? They sat me down and told me they were getting a divorce. We will not be married anymore, and Dad will have his own house, Mom told me. I will only be 5 blocks away, and you will see me all the time, Dad said. They said, most importantly, that it was not my fault. As Dad put his clothes in the suitcase, I was confused. Why do you have to leave, I asked. I don't want you to go. What did I do wrong? I ran and hid in my special spot under the table so no one could ever find me. That night I waited for him to come home, but he did not. Dad got a new house. It had a swing set, and I had a brand new room. One day, Mom said, "We are going on a special trip." "Where?" I asked. "It's a surprise," she said. We took a long drive, and I closed my eyes the entire time. When I opened them, I saw we were at a pet store. You can pick any dog. You can pick out any dog you like. Adding Norman to our family made me feel a little better. Keep going?
Yeah.
The summer came.
I have goosebumps.
Well, a little homage to my dog, who's also named Norman. The summer came, and one time when I went over to Dad's house, there was a stranger there. "I want you to meet a new friend of mine," he said. His friend was pretty and nice enough. She played with me and bought me a cherry snow cone, my favorite. She also introduced me to her son. He was older than me and showed me how to play all of his video games. A while later, Dad told me that they were going to get married. That would make her my stepmother, and her son would be my stepbrother. I always wanted a brother or sister, but the only stepmothers I'd ever seen were the evil ones from fairy tales. She knew so many different people, and they showed me all kinds of new things. Her mom made rhubarb pie. I had never had it before. I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but boy was I wrong. Her uncle took me camping at Lake Funnynema and showed me how to build a fire and put up a tent. Her friend from a faraway country showed me a game just like soccer that I had never seen before. I love soccer. Even though I was sad at first, I started to like having my family become bigger and better. So this time I was very excited when my mom found a new friend and got married too. This time I would get a new sister. She was younger than me and had a pet snake. This year at my birthday, my mom still made me red velvet cake, but my new stepsister added frosting. That made it even better, and I had rhubarb pie to go along with it. Dad still sang the birthday song in a funny voice, but now we had backup singers. The biggest difference was that, instead of 3 of us, we had more people than chairs. When it was just the 3 of us, I was happy. Now it wouldn't be the same without my stepdad Larry, my stepmom Sue, my stepsister Annie, my stepbrother Lou, my half-brother Brian, my half-sister Jen, my new Aunt Betty, and my new Uncle Ben, my new Grandpa Tim, his neighbors the Kims, my new cousin Connie, and her best friend Ronnie, my new dog Norman, and everyone else.
Awesome! Thank you! That was so awesome! What a treat!
Thank you very much. I really feel that the images add a lot to it. Hopefully, we didn't spoil it over the radio, but
you did great.
Thank you.
So if you want David Tickerman's book, it's Mom, Dad, and Everyone Else, and just go online and give us the publisher again.
It's the name of the publisher is Crafty Canuck, and you can find it on their website at shop.craftycanuck.com. The ebook is available there. The hard copy is also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble websites.
Thank you so much, David, and we look forward. You can't stop now. You have to write more.
Well,
we look forward to more books.
Tough ones out of the way, right?
And Eric, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about this neat little store in downtown Trenton and all the great things you do there, and the Trenton Books at Home program and the Trenton Book Exchange. What wonderful opportunities for people to read for free. Mm-hmm. No libraries, no library cards, no money.
That's right.
Just read. Just read. Thank you, Eric. I enjoyed having you here tonight. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to WIMG AM 1300. This is the stellar award-winning WIMG AM 1300 in the public interest. This is Jean Shippos. Thanks and good night.